recipes for technical trading success in Cook's Kitchen.
Microsoft throws down again and wants to be the master of gaming. A $7.5 billion purchase this week of ZeniMax, who owns a family of games called under the umbrella Bethesda, and a couple other titles. And let's take a glance at some of those titles. Here they go: Xbox plus Bethesda, Fallout, The Elder Scrolls, and then there's a smaller ID brand that makes Wolfenstein and a couple others I don't even know about, Doom, I think. But why did they pay $7.5 billion for this? This is the question I'm really interested in. So I dove into the numbers for Microsoft, trying to figure out what they're up to. Here was the press release on Monday, the 21st, welcoming the talented teams and beloved game franchises of Bethesda to Xbox. And this brings a lot of creators and developers into the Microsoft fold. One great article I read was on CNET from Ian Scher, and he's talking about the move grows the number of in-house Xbox game development studios to 23 studios, up from 15 earlier. So you can see how many were under the fold of ZeniMax and Bethesda, giving it control of some of the game industry's most popular franchises. Microsoft also plans to run Bethesda as its own division with leadership and structure intact. Obviously, that's pretty key. Give the creators their autonomy to do what they do best. And gamers, I'm not a gamer, but the gamers I talk to say, Microsoft already won sort of the platform wars by being able to do everything on the PC and allowing that flexibility. And it's almost like, do they still need the Xbox? But of course, they're rolling out new consoles here very soon. Let's take a look. So this is the CNET article I referenced, and there's the Xbox. A couple of things that stand out in this article. Here's what Ian Scher writes on CNET. Microsoft's move comes weeks before the November launch of its next big video game consoles, the $500 Xbox Series X and the $300 Xbox Series S, both promising sharper visuals and faster gameplay than their predecessors. These consoles will, of course, be competing against Sony's $500 PlayStation 5 and the $400 discless PlayStation 5 Digital Edition coming out in November. So big head-to-head battle there. By the way, on CNET, this editor right here, Jeff Bacalar, I don't know if I pronounce his name right, but this guy knows his stuff. Go on this article here, and this is the one, and you'll find a couple of videos from Jeff where he breaks things down. This is a 3-minute video, but I also watched a 9-minute video where he really lays out the issues for gamers and what they can spend, what they might want to spend. Do they upgrade their PC? Do they buy the new Xbox? Do they go with PlayStation? He's like, hey, let's wait a few months and see how let's let the reviews come in, so to speak. So really good stuff from him, looking at the business aspect. One other point from Ian Scher here is that he notes that, hey, we found out last week that Microsoft lost the battle to get a bid or to get a stake in TikTok. They lost out to Oracle and was it Walmart, I think. So maybe that was a disappointment. But this was obviously, ZeniMax was something they had in the works, and it will work well for them. So good stuff there from CNET. Just wanted to make sure you saw that. Now the question is let's talk about where is Microsoft going with this? Gaming is still less than 10% of their business. Technically, could be less than 5%, and we're going to look at those numbers. Here was a key quote from Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft. As a proven game developer and publisher, Bethesda has seen success across every category of games, and together we will further our ambition to empower the more than 3 billion gamers worldwide. I think that quote sums it up. And the key idea here being 3 billion gamers worldwide. This is what Microsoft continues to go after. They see the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is in having access to this type of community that does spend money on games, and they're very engaged. It's almost like Facebook talking about having 2 billion users worldwide. If Microsoft has access to 1 billion or more gamers, they're onto something. And now the key is that this was the fastest growing segment of their business. And I should show you, this is what's hard to nail down is what they call the gaming segment. So from Statista, if you just Google, hey, what is Microsoft's gaming revenue? You get a graph from Statista that pops up, gaming revenue of Microsoft from 2017 to Q4 2019. By the way, we are in Microsoft's Q1 right now because the Q4 fiscal year 20 just ended in June. So here's the comp. The comp is, let me scroll this down a little bit. Q4 2019 saw this huge jump in revenues for the gaming segment to 11.39 billion. So that's sort of the way that people are looking at the gaming segment of Microsoft. But so I thought we really need to go to Microsoft's last press release and break this down. And so that's what I try to do here. So just to look at Microsoft's major business segments, productivity and business processes in Q4 of this year, 2020, was 11.8 billion, up 6%. Intelligent cloud, which is a huge new area for them. And by the way, the top segment here, productivity and business, is obviously Office and 365 and all that. So the cloud is, enterprise services in the cloud, biggest segment now, according to Q4 here, 13.4 billion, was up 17%. Here is more personal computing, the third division. Revenue was 12.9 billion, pretty chunky, up 14%. Within that, this is the key here, this third line from the bottom, Xbox content and services revenue increased 65%. This is why Microsoft keeps pushing this direction. It's the fastest growing unit. Now, if we look further, and this is like all the way down at the bottom of the earnings statement, we need to sort of sort this out. So revenue increased for the segment to 1.6 billion. And that roughly matches what, if we're looking at 11.39 billion, tack on 1.6 billion to that, that's about 14%. So that's consistent. But look what's included in the segment. Everybody calls it the gaming segment, but Microsoft doesn't call it that. They call it more personal computing, of which gaming is a part. And they say that gaming revenue only increased 1.3 billion, but that was up 64%. And you break it down differently, you get to 65%. Content and services revenue were up 1.2 billion, or 65% of that gaming revenue. And Xbox hardware revenue increased 49%, which is obviously a smaller portion versus content and services. So this really gets to the heart of what Microsoft is pulling off here. They're going for the subscription revenue among gamers. Get them in the door any way you can, whether it's with a console or on the PC, and then give people packages, give gamers access to games and platforms, in a streaming way on a subscription basis. And that's what seems to be working. If you go through and add up these numbers, you get close to that 12.9 billion. Search advertising revenue decreased 353 million, knocking off Surface revenue, which increased 374 million. So this is the stuff you got to go through to sort of figure out what do people mean when they say gaming is a 12 or 13 billion dollar business for Microsoft. Here was an analyst note from Piper Sandler, one of my favorite software analyst, Brent Bracelin, and his team, including Clark Jeffries. He calls the Xbox is the Netflix of gaming, because of what's possible with also a streaming on your PC. He really likes the acquisition. Let me just read part of this note from him. Building the Netflix of gaming that has now attracted 15 million subscribers versus 10 million at the end of April and 5 million last year. There's your Corona crisis, boost in revenues, is that, people working from home, people gaming more from home. And that's that huge boost in subscribers. And that's what they're going after. We were on the eve of the first major Xbox console cycle refresh. And there he's got the 11.5 billion gaming segment that Microsoft does not call its gaming segment because it includes other things. And okay, so here's the TAM, total addressable market, that Satya Nadella cited, 3 billion gamers, poised to spend 200 billion in 2021. I mean, it was 2 years ago that I was talking about, I couldn't believe that gaming had crossed the $100 billion threshold in terms of a total addressable market. Now we're doubling in less than 3 years. Every 6 to 8 million incremental Game Pass subscribers, Game Pass obviously the key to the kingdom in accessing all these games, could generate $1 billion in revenue annually for Microsoft. So that's why Microsoft just shelled out $7.5 billion in cash for this gaming company, and you can't blame them. Let's look at what's integral to high-speed graphics, and that would be, of course, NVIDIA's new technology. This is the 3080 GeForce card that came out a few months ago. It was first used in data centers and supercomputing. Well, as this article, let's see when this is from on NVIDIA. This is from September 16th. So last week, Brian Caulfield writing on the NVIDIA newsroom, no one knew for sure what the new architecture, the 3080, would be capable of when unleashed on gaming. And so the reviews are in, and that's why you're hearing things like insanely fast, biggest generational leap, new high-end gaming champion. And I've talked here before in Cook's Kitchen about what these cards do with ray tracing, the ability in real time to create shadows and accurate lighting. It's just amazing stuff that these cards can create in real time. So that's the picture I wanted to give you of what Microsoft is up to, why they're going for the gamers, why they're building the subscription business, even as they roll out new Xbox consoles. Be sure to check out the CNET editor here, Jeff Bacalar, with his excellent take on everything. And my final take is one that I posted on Twitter on Monday. And I just, because I was surprised by this acquisition. And so that I had to look into it more. And so, because I'm not a gamer, so I'm looking from the outside in. What is Microsoft trying to accomplish? And I didn't know that this market is already going to be doubling to 200 billion sometime next year. I said, just imagine if you could get kids to be as excited about biology, physics, and chemistry. And my point is that the number of hours that kids and people in their 20s and 30s sit in front of a PC or a console and hammer out their games. There's such a wide open opportunity here for education in AR and VR, and so that's what we really need more creators on. And I hope that I know Microsoft is invested quite a bit in HoloLens. I hope that there's some integration there with education sooner than later, and find ways to get kids more interested in science using the power of these magical games and platforms and chips from NVIDIA. All right. Thanks for joining me in the kitchen. We'll talk to you next week.